Good evening, Voice of Canada. We would like to wish our viewers in Toronto and London good evening. Along with my guest, Kavita Metha,
Hi.
we welcome all of you. We have a very dynamic guest, Dr. Jacqueline Wabara, who is a great friend of mine since as early as 2014. And we have been in very good terms from London, UK. And today we have a pleasure of having her. She's a dynamic lady with lots of achievements in her basket. And today we would like to hear from Jacqueline Wabara. So, viewers of Voice of Canada, we are presenting you Dr. Jacqueline Wabara. Welcome to our show.
Welcome, Canada.
Hi, I'm the co-host today with the famous personality Asphandiar Wadiwalla.
I'm a
And-
small man.
Welcome.
And we are here introducing today Jacqueline Wabara to our viewers from Canada and all over the world. And I'd like to point out, not only is she a British citizen by birth to Nigerian parents, she is also a well-known personality. How are you doing today, Jacqueline?
I am doing fine. Let me just say thank you to both of you, especially Aspi, for giving me the opportunity to have.
Darling, it's always a pleasure. We have been long-time friends and we are coming to each and every point from our friendship from 2014.
That's correct.
So,
We-
Jacqueline, inform our viewers of our Voice of Canada, as I know you personally, in person since 2014, and our friendship is still strong as a rock. How do you
That's
feel about it?
I feel honored because when I first met you by chance, you kind of stood out. We were at, I remember the event specifically. It was a Miss Commonwealth International.
Yeah, internationally, yeah.
It was a grand finale. I'd been part of that pageant as a judge, as a mentor, etc. And I saw you on the stage, and they were honoring you with various accolades. So I said to myself, I wonder who this gentleman is from Canada. Because I heard your voice, I thought, and someone said, no, he's the individual who is literally managing the contestant or the finalist who came from Canada. I thought, that's interesting. So I made it my duty to make sure that we connect that day.
Definitely. I saw you with zeal even singing our Oh Canada.
Oh,
That's correct.
You are a real nationalist. You respect other countries, and that's
Yes.
why you built more respect in my heart.
I
When
stood
saw
up.
you from the stage that Jacqueline is singing Oh Canada with full pride with me.
I was lucky that I was lip syncing, so I was watching everybody else and I was there singing away to the extent somebody might have even thought I was from Canada.
Yeah.
But sadly, that's not the case. I was born in sunny Birmingham, which is in the UK.
Oh, that's my town. I was there for nearly 5 years.
Yes, I think you
Birmingham,
mentioned it.
yeah. I've been, and still my sister resides in Birmingham.
Okay, all right, yeah.
She's
Well,
still there.
that's where I was
And
born.
one of the, I think she came during 2016 to attend Commonwealth. She was
Okay.
there,
Oh, wow.
And I do recall that you were also the judge during the last event I did in 2018 at the Commonwealth
Oh,
London.
yes, I remember. Yes, that's
You
it. So,
recall you were also one of the honored judges,
yes, you gave me a citation, which I was actually trying to bring.
and I had even had the honor of giving you the Canadian citation too.
That's correct. I still have it in the cabinet. The thing is, my husband has the key, and he can't find the key. It's one of our
Oh my God. Display it proudly now on your desk or somewhere. You're a doctor, you're a popular personality, and it's an honor that you got this citation from a country like Canada, which
Yeah.
is also a G7 nation like Britain.
Yep.
Yes, it's in the cabinet with my other pride possessions when it comes to accolades. So it's next to all my certifications and medals and trophies, etc. Because that's basically where.
That our sovereign head is Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
Yeah.
And Canada is a very, very vital country for Commonwealth.
Actually, saying that, when we celebrated her platinum jubilee,
You can
within
see my pin of the platinum. I had the honor of getting only last week.
Yeah.
It came from England, the
Oh,
ER 70, because you are aware that I was the recipient of the Diamond Jubilee Award of the Queen.
yes, I remember. Yeah, you told me. Yeah.
So this time they have not issued the medals, but they have issued these pins, the blazer pins. And since last week, I'm wearing the 70 with proudly I'm wearing, because we highly respect the Queen, Her Majesty, the Queen.
Yes, you do. And that one thing about you, Aspi, when it comes to the royal family, etc., I know in our conversations you were very, even when we communicated last, I was rushing to a Golden Jubilee event, if you remember, 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
I remember, and that time we had to postpone the interview because you said you were busy with the celebrations. And I said, go ahead. We are also busy. We are also doing lots of celebrations and all over here in Canada equally. And everybody got busy, but I have to book in advance slots my interviews, so then only I'm able to do it, and I can send the questionnaire and all. And finally it was destined for today, the 30th of July, the remarkable day to have Dr. Jacqueline Wabara,
And I get to co-host for the first time.
and she's coming for the first time.
Amazing.
Kavita Metha, she's my longtime friend, but with this show she's appearing for the first time with me.
It's an honor, Aspi, again.
No, it's
Thank you so
always
much.
an honor to
So,
have you.
yeah,
We have
let's
been
move
friends
this,
also
yeah.
since couple of years.
Yes.
Move ahead with your
Let's
question.
move forward. Dr. Jacqueline, we see that you have an outstanding bio with a lot of work, hard talents that you have acquired in these past years. How would you feel if you could brief our viewers in a nutshell? What are your outstanding achievements that create you different from other people?
Outstanding, I would say, is my tenacity and ability to galvanize the community. And I'd say not just any members of the community, disadvantaged, disaffected, and marginalized. And that's one of my, I suppose, what's driven me to achieve certain things personally, academically, and with regards to my business ventures as well.
Very nice.
Jacqueline, my dear friend, I'm taking the liberty of calling you by first name, being your friend. Inform our viewers of Voice of Canada that what philanthropist activities you do from your base in London, UK, and I think you are very active even in your parent country, Nigeria, as well.
That's correct. So I'll start off with the UK, where I was born and raised. So there's two sides to me. I have academic prowess, as you'll find out later, and I have creative prowess. So I set up an arts foundation to help individuals who were not fortunate enough to go via the academic route, but showed very promising capabilities as potentially creative entrepreneurs. So I fund various projects in London to enable individuals who've left school maybe before their time, age 14, or individuals who've had problems at home, who've had to leave home and have ended up in care, or individuals that we find literally on the street committing crime. London sadly has a very high instance of gang crime.
Yeah.
So you can literally drive, in the street, and see them.
Crime rate is much higher than Canada, in England.
Yeah, it's the worst.
I recall an ugly incident. I was also robbed at a knife spot in central London. It was only 10 o'clock in the night. I was so frightened, and on the main street, was just, some knife was put behind my back, and he said, whatever you have got, don't look back. You give
Very
it to
common.
me.
Sorry, obviously, if you're Canadian and you're watching this and you haven't been to the UK, London, the capital, sadly, because especially central London is a place where criminals target, because obviously London is so international. You get billionaires, millionaires, and dignitaries like no other capital. So sadly, criminals do converge in central London.
And there are lots of exile leaders also from all over the world are based in London, because I had the opportunity of meeting few exile leaders also of various countries during my visits to London. And it was an honor to know their story and the history and how they are struggling from their base in London to return to power in their respective countries.
Yeah, I suppose it's a hub. And I think the thing is, people know this because, we've got so much paparazzi. So sadly, if a paparazzi mentions a particular dignitaries in town, or there's a particular event in Park Lane, the gangs, they're actually, sadly, when I say marginalized, so they're usually Eastern European or of any of the ethnic minorities, Asian, African, Caribbean.
Because
sadly.
I remember, even not only in London, even in certain areas of Birmingham, we never used to go after sunset.
Yes.
And never used to take the new car, I recall. Otherwise, they used to even hijack the car also.
Oh boy.
That's correct. And in the UK, we obviously have London as the capital, Birmingham is the second largest, followed by Manchester.
Yeah.
Those three capitals, sadly, are targets. If I was based still in Birmingham, I moved to London age 21 to do my master's. If I was in Birmingham, I probably would have embarked upon the same philanthropical strategy in terms of my particular projects, because when I left to come to London, I myself was a victim of crime, so I was fully aware demographically when I come to London it was going to be worse. So that's why I set up Nubian Arts Foundation. That was about 15 years ago, and it's funded by the Lottery Fund. I'm sure you have the National Lottery. We have I think it's one of in terms of dividends for community organizations, it's quite accessible for individuals like me to actually draw funds from various grants to enable individuals less fortunate than myself. The only thing one has to prove in the UK to get grants is to use their own money, and then the grant funding will match it. We call it match funding. So if I put 10,000 of my own money, the funders will match it and put 10,000.
Awesome.
So that's the only prerequisite. You have to be able to demonstrate you're a philanthropist and not just write it on your CV. So to demonstrate it, you can fundraise, use your own money, whatever, but you need to have your own money and then run the project yourself at a loss. But that particularly goes at a big advantage to the funders because they can see you're determined to make a difference and impact change.
Jacqueline, in continuation of my current question only, you being a citizen by birth, being a Britisher, what are the reasons of so much of high crime rate? It's influx of illegal immigrants, or you all had brought the railway workers long time ago, the British government had brought from Southeast Asia, which I see a lot of them in Birmingham and Manchester.
Right, okay. There's a particular trend, I would say, with people born in the UK. They're described as lazy and not wanting to do manual work. Sadly, it's getting worse and worse and worse. So an English person, let's say my friend I went to school with who's English, like a brother, for example, if a job came up and it involved manual labor, he would rather go to the government and take benefits and leave it to the immigrants.
Oh, wow.
Sadly,
I see a lot of people on taking a dole from the UK government. That is also a very sad part of it. Lots of people taking dole at this young age. I used to feel sorry for them, and they are being misusing the system, especially the medical system which is excellent in the UK.
Sadly,
I experienced that when my sister was gravely ill. I treated her at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham.
Yes, I know that.
For over a month. And I'm still so thankful to them that as they knew that I've come all the way from Canada to take care of my sister. So they were feeding me also. I said, there is no need. I said, there is no need. So she used to smile and tell me, no, sir, if we don't look after you and feed you, how you are going to manage your your sister who is sick. So I was really touched my heart, all those things about UK.
Yeah. It's they call it the nanny state, in effect, based on the thing of. So sadly, that particular trend of someone born in the UK of white skin not wanting to do manual work it's continuing, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. The only thing now, since the Eastern Europeans, since we had Brexit, which you may be familiar with, so we're no longer part of the EU.
Yeah, EU, yeah.
Many
made any major difference now after getting out of Brexit?
The major difference is to do with work. Now, this is shocking. The first time ever in the UK, under Conservative government, and I'm a Conservative member, there are more jobs available than people unemployed. Now, not many countries can actually claim that. So the first time in the last, this particular figure was broadcasted 2 months ago. So we have 1.4 million approximately unemployed, but there are 1.8 million vacancies.
Go ahead.
And the vacancies are available because some of the people with the EU status, when Brexit happened, they decided, basically, if you didn't have your right to remain at a certain point, sadly, the fear was put into them. So they say on average, 180,000 roughly Eastern Europeans migrated back to their countries.
Wow.
So
wow. But there were lots of stories when you all were breaking away from the European Union. We were hearing all sorts of rumors. Because even I heard one story which was very disturbing, that if they would have not removed themselves from the European Union, London would have been annexed by one certain immigrant community which is very forceful. I would not like to comment them on TV, but this was the news over here. Is it true to some extent?
I was in a hotel the other day in Gatwick. Now, the first time I ever, sometimes you read the newspapers and you think they're exaggerating. Now, listen, I was basically in a 5-star, 4-star hotel. I'm not going to mention the name for legal purposes. They literally had no cleaners because most of their cleaners were from Eastern Europe. So on the day we went in, they gave us the room on the proviso that in the morning room service may be delayed. I thought, okay. Anyway, the first day was fine. The second day, there was no room service until 6 p.m.
Wow.
Say no one came to clean the room. They had to go to various agencies, and they still couldn't get agency staff until 6 p.m. They apologized and basically said that's the effect of Brexit.
We will be taking a short break, Jacqueline. Stay with us on the screen, and we'll be back with you as soon as possible. Thank you. Welcome back to our weekly show, Voice of Canada, hosted by Asphandiar Wadiwalla, and our today's charming co-host is Kavita Metha. It has been exclusively produced by Awaz TV Entertainment, Mississauga. We have a very dynamic guest, a lady guest from England, London, UK, Jacqueline Wabara, who is a doctor by profession. And she's an outstanding lady with so many feathers in her cap that it is really, really hard to describe her and to let you know everything about her in just one interview. Maybe by end of this year, we will be calling her again as Jacqueline Wabara Part 2, being a celebrity and such a well-known personality. So welcome back to our show. Jacqueline, inform our viewers in Canada and around the world that you are the founder of Pride Britain Awards. That is also one of the great things happening because we also respect Pride, and it's a Pride Month going on here in Canada currently.
Actually, it's Pride of Black Britain, actually.
Okay, lovely, lovely. Awesome. So explain to what is it? What is it that you are the founder of the Pride British Awards? So tell little details.
Yeah. So it's firstly, let me correct you, Pride of Black Britain awards.
Wow, out of Black
Yeah.
Britain, lovely.
Black Britain. We have to emphasize Black Britain because there is a brand called Pride of Britain already. Okay, so it's like a celebrity for Europeans. So I decided, although the original concept for Pride of Britain, which is I think 10 years old, although they acknowledged some people of color, it was quite marginal. You know, you could count the number of accolades that were given to people who were Black. Now, history-wise, Black people have contributed to the growth, success, and GDP of Great Britain since the 1930s.
Wow.
And I wanted those people from 1939 onwards, my father and my grandfather who came here, you know, in the 30s and the 40s. So I'm a third generation Nigerian. The same thing with those from some of the Caribbean islands and some of the Brazilian islands and some, let's say, from Mauritius. So basically, the Pride of Black Britain Award is an award which recognizes individuals who've made significant inroads into all of the various sectors in the UK. And that ranges from academia to medicine to sport to philanthropy to science and technology. So every single category you can imagine, there's all of the sectors, and there's three various levels. So it's at the community level, where people could nominate someone locally in their community. There's the medium level, where individuals, not celebrities as in, monetary celebrities, but celebrities who have themselves won awards. So there's the medium level, and then there's the icon, individuals who have inputted towards the growth and success in Great Britain in either of those sections for more than 40 years. Wow. So those individuals are more than likely to be a minimum age
Modify the question.
So, Dr. Wabara, I see in your bio, you also, in the professional field, you have excelled and you hold a senior management position. Would you like to share with our viewers about that?
Okay, right. So my PhD is not a medical one. My PhD is in business management, and my thesis was in sustainability and change with regard to small, medium enterprises bucking the trend in their failures. There were significant trends which were identified by our National Audit Office that so many businesses got to 3 years and folded. So my research, which was 6 years, six years intensive research, was to investigate why and what solutions could be applied. So I have used that particular skill I have when it comes to business sustainability. I use that in the day because my day job, as people see different sides of me, so if you see me on LinkedIn, I am Director of Diversity, Culture and Inclusion. And that's what I champion in terms of my specialism. For every project I'm engaged in, whether as a management consultant, so I'm a management consultant, EMEA, so that's Europe and the Middle East and Africa and Asia.
Awesome. That is really awesome. So, Jacqueline, after obtaining your master's degree in business administration, you clarified to me via another email that you did your PhD in part-time.
That's correct.
Right? And in my house also, I've got two PhDs, my niece and my daughter, but both I've done in neuroscience, whereas you have done in administration.
No. My master's was administration. My PhD was management and leadership.
Management. You are there. So, and you could do in part time. And I'm very much aware of the thesis. Even my daughter took about 5 years to complete her thesis in neuroscience because she had a lot of what you call at the sick kids hospital. She used to perform MRIs and various tests to complete her thesis, and it took her about 5 to 6 years. And we were really tired. But she said, Dad, if I don't do my practical, how am I going to clear the thesis? That's how I remember about the thesis. The thesis is a very, very tough job to clear.
Luckily for me, my thesis is in a business. Like I said, my thesis was in transformational change, and I was working 9 to 5 in transformational change. So mine was a commissioned PhD because I've done previous projects in the past through work where I've been recognized by doing, various reports. So I was commissioned to do that particular research for 6 years.
Thank you.
Thankfully, it wasn't financially impactful on me, as some people have to pay for their PhDs and suffer and XYZ, and they don't have time to work. I was commissioned. So it wasn't as bad as if I just, went to university and then picked a particular and had to pay, I think, is it 10,000 a year? I was lucky that I didn't have that particular pressure, and I was able to work as well, part-time-ish, I would say. So yes, and my PhD is in sustainability, transformation, and change with a view to heightening leadership skills and knowledge.
Jacqueline, as we have to complete your interview, it's a lengthy interview, and I would like to cover all the questions. So I would ask Kavita to go ahead with question number 10.
So Dr. Wabara, I see all these feathers in your cap, and then there's one interesting thing too. You have also won the Miss Nigeria Europe title in 1995, 27 years ago.
My God, very long time. And still
Now,
I can see,
despite
I can see the beauty queen is sitting in front of us.
So tell us about that, what you remember.
I'm a beauty queen who's in their 50s. A lot of people are surprised.
Don't keep on repeating 50s. I feel bad, I still treat you as my 32-year-old Jacqueline Wabara.
But Aspie, if I won a pageant 27 years ago, people will start doing the maths.
Okay, we'll skip the 27 years, but tell us what you remember, where it was, and how did you feel?
One of the things I was always asked, because of my height, I'm 5'10", when I was some 12, 13. So I did modeling before I started pageants. So it wasn't as shocking as someone just going straight into pageants. I think the main thing I would take from pageantry then, and pageantry like the one I do, obviously I founded my own pageant, Miss Nubian Pageant. Back then it was very different. It was solely based on how you look.
Yeah.
So it was nothing about intellect, skills, talent. It was literally about your body, if your swimsuit looks fantastic, if it hugged you in the right places. So I think I took the bad experiences I had in terms of having to look perfect, which was easy at some point. But I think as you get older, you're more conscious of, the lumps and the bumps.
Right.
So I was fortunate. I think I won a couple of smaller pageants before I went up and won the accolade of Miss Nigeria Europe. So I think that's what put me in great stead in terms of confidence. If I went straight into that Miss Nigeria pageantry world, I would have been more fearful.
Jacqueline, let me add one thing to your answer, that I was also championing the cause of not showing women in bikinis at the pageants. You can recall, even I was not in favor at all at the Commonwealth too. And we created a sports round. With my request, it was accepted. Even the judges supported me, and we had a sports round, but not the bikini, because we portray women, we groom women, we empower women. We don't want to show their bodies. That was my concept.
I think the concept of, as in my pageant, why I decided to come up. 2009, I started Miss Nubian, in fact. Although we've rebranded, that's why there's not much out there, because we're now included men. So the old website is down. But 2009, I believe we were the first pageant in the UK that had the strapline, talent propelling, empowerment propelling, and heritage and culture propelling pageant, no bikini or swimsuit allowed.
Wow.
Back in 2009, it didn't go down too well. Obviously, that was like 13 years ago. People were wondering why. But when they went to the first one and realized what we replaced the swimwear around with, everybody was happy. But I was then, 13 years ago, I was competing with the traditional pageants. Now, luckily, I was involved in Miss World 4 years ago, which happened in London, Excel Centre. And I don't know if you're aware, 4 years ago, Miss World, I was one of the mentors for the African girls. And Miss World also decided to remove the swimwear round. So all in all, everyone's happy. And I'm glad that pageants, since my days, have moved a long way and are more empowering for both women and men.
So we've moved from beauty to beauty and brains now.
Yeah, Jacqueline, what I see, one thing in common between both of us, you are aware and I am aware, that we both have political blood in our veins. Your family was connected like mine, and you are very much involved with so many political activities in England as well as Nigeria. Whereas just now my foot is only in the Canadian politics. I'm not in any other country's politics. I strongly portray my own beloved homeland, that is Canada. And you have seen me even on a foreign soil. I have highly portrayed my country.
Yes. I only got into Nigerian politics by chance. My uncle was campaigning. He was a senator at the time. I didn't even understand the whole thing until I was on his campaign trail. And then he went and became the Senate president, Adolphus Wabara, Chief Adolphus Wabara. And I was, obviously, because of my academia, he asked me to join him. So I went to Nigeria for the first time, quite late in my 20s. And that's when I started understanding how politics happened abroad.
So your uncle was a senator, and my mentor and my person who was connected to me was a member of parliament for 5 times.
Ah, okay, yes.
So that is very common. And now his son is also an MP back home. So it goes into the family. And along with that politics, business also flourished. It helped us a lot.
They're together. I think if you've got a prowess for business and politics, you can actually align them and great things can happen.
Yeah, politics plays a great tool, with the business and everything. And even we were very popular with the diplomatic circles too, with politics and at the same time the business.
Okay, well,
go ahead.
Watch the space. You may see me in a political position. More than likely, it will be conservative in the UK before Africa. So who knows?
Dr. Wabara, we also noticed from your long, outstanding bio that you are the founder for Mr. and Miss Nubian pageants.
That's correct.
So is that held in London or in Nigeria with the young men and women from Nigeria?
No. Nubian means Africa. So any pageant in Nigeria usually has the Nigerian tag. That's why I didn't call it anything like Africa or Nigeria. It was in the UK, London. The grand finale was the Hilton's our sponsor, so the grand finales are always held in central London in one of the Hilton hotels. Initially, it started off for women only. We rebranded during the pandemic. I wanted to give it some because to be honest, I didn't hold it for 4 years. Because of my PhD, I had to not do it for 3 years. So when the pandemic hit, when I was about to start again, I decided to rebrand it because of inclusion and diversity and the type of pageant we are, propelling culture, heritage, talent, and empowerment. I decided we're supposed to be equal. So why should women be doing something and men not be doing it? Because this, quality is within it's the same thing. So what we judge the women on, intelligence, intellect, talent, we can judge the men on the same. So I decided to rebrand. I think the new website will be out soon. And it is now called Miss and Mr. Nubian pageant.
Awesome.
And the word Nubian basically means someone who is who has some black genes within them. So the person's color could be very pale, like Meghan Markle,
right?
Or as someone from Kenya.
Jacqueline, we have to move forward because the paucity of time and my production is already showing hands that we are about to run the time shortage. So, but let me ask you 2-3 more questions. We also see that you are a business strategist in corporate world. So, would you throw some light on that? What do you mean by strategist in corporate world?
Basically, I work for various management consultancy organizations. PricewaterhouseCooper, you may have heard of them. So the big top 40 blue chip organizations, on a day-to-day basis, they have varying needs. They need their strategies revised or their client strategies revised. So I will go in there, not for more than 6 months, and do as much impactful work so it can impact on their growth and their bottom line.
Go ahead.
Dr. Wabara, we also see that just 2 years ago, you completed your third degree in PhD Business Management, which was in the COVID-19 pandemic year. How did you manage that? And was that done online or was it done in person in classes?
But you said part-time, you did in part-time.
Yeah, with a research, PhD is a research anyway. So in terms of, even without the pandemic, it wouldn't make too much difference because a lot of your time is spent going into the organizations. Now, in terms of before the pandemic was officially, we cannot go anywhere, most organizations were quite prepared. And I was on my last year. So the last year of PhD, you're writing. The 5 years before is when you're active. So luckily for me, when the pandemic struck, I was in the last phase, which is the thesis phase, where you're literally writing your thesis. So it didn't impact me because it was my final year, as opposed to my first, second, third, or fourth. So the 5 years prior to that, that's the time I had to be everywhere, and that was up until 2019. So the pandemic didn't affect me because I was already in thesis writing mode.
Oh, perfect.
Dr. Jacqueline Wabara, as you are currently involved in political and cultural activities in London, inform our viewers what role did you play with the recent celebration of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II in the 70th Platinum Jubilee celebrations, which was grand in England?
It was grand indeed. Right, so I'm currently working for a health research company, but a couple of years before that, if anybody goes on my LinkedIn, you can see I worked for the Commonwealth, and that's the official Commonwealth. Nothing to do with the pageant, etc. So I got an invitation based on the fact I was an employee of the Commonwealth, and I was working then as head of culture, diversity, inclusion. So based on that, I got an invitation to provide a mini presentation involving people from various nationalities. So that's BAME. BAME is Black and Minority Ethnic. So sometimes in the UK, we separate Black and Asian, but when it comes to the Commonwealth activities, we put them together. It's called BAME. So I was asked to produce a BAME, workshop for various dignitaries about how Black and Asian people have excelled in academia. So we did a presentation in basically central London, in Hyde Park, in one of the Dome function rooms.
Dr. Wabara, as you're aware that Canada is one of the vibrant, front-ranking member of the Commonwealth countries. Yes. Why do you think such a power-packed international forum of 54 members countries has gone slow and has had not much effective stands in the G7, in the G20, and the NATO?
And the United Nations itself, they have gone dormant. What are the reasons why the 54 nations body is so slow and dormant now?
The problem with the Commonwealth is the ability or the lack of ability to align strategies in a timely manner. When obviously, it's 10 countries alone is not bad, but when you've got 54 at various stages in their life cycle, some are still in famine, some are still at war. So the problem with the Commonwealth, although we're integrated as one Commonwealth, some countries are not yet ready. So the pace varies, and sadly, the varying paces. England are at the forefront. This country's, here, Ghana's doing this. Sadly, there's no unification on pace. And that's the reason why I believe that the penetration hasn't been noticeable, as envisaged many, many years ago when the Commonwealth was formed.
Jacqueline Wabara, also inform our viewers, as we are about to end this evening's interview with you, what would be your valued comments, advice for the viewers of Canada as well as for your own country, UK, and around the world? What should young women do for their empowerment? What
Right,
advice
okay.
would you give them?
Irrespective of what surroundings, distractions I would use. There are many distractions when you are a teenager, let's say 14 and above. No matter how good you are at music, drama, etc., do not stop your education. Under no uncertain terms, you can do your drama classes, you can do your acting classes, you can do modeling, but do not stop your education until you've at least got your A levels,
Achieve
which
your
is
goals, yeah.
that's correct. But up until, obviously, no one has to go to university, but get all the qualifications you can from school and from college, and then the world is indeed your oyster.
Dr. Jacqueline Wabara, also before ending our this evening's interview, inform us why there is a very, very heavy population of Nigerians settled in UK. What are the reasons?
Right, okay. I know that story because I was like myself. When I came to London, I was like, oh my God. Because I was obviously from the West Midlands, it wasn't so bad. I know the story. During the Biafra War time in 1968, England and the UK had a close treaty. So there was no reason, you didn't have to, I should say, come to UK with a visa. So back then, as long as you had the money, you could literally make an application. You prove that you've got enough money for your ticket, somewhere to stay in England, and Bob's your uncle. So literally, the influx of Nigerians didn't just start now. It started the late 60s,
Wow.
and it's actually growing more because of the education system. In Nigeria, a lot of people are, with all the languages we have 58 main languages.
Wow.
If you Wikipedia or Google Nigeria, people find it very strange to find out our national language is English.
Wow.
International language. That is an international language. And can you inform also that approximately how many Nigerians would be in England? Approximately, maybe in millions now.
Yeah, it should be about 2 million. Yeah.
2 million. Wow.
And
That's
those are the
a
ones
big
that
population, a visible community in England.
Yeah, because of the education system. Nigerians are, out of all of the African countries, pro-education. So when you're growing up in Nigeria, your parents will be asking you from age 12, 13, do you want to go to the US or the UK? It's just actually a standard in a Nigerian household. That's why Nigeria, sadly, the expats, the knowledge base of Nigeria, they've left. They're in America, they're in the UK. That's why Nigeria itself is not as strong as it used to be in terms of its GDP, because all the academics have left.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And sir, finally, inform our viewers, is visa required for the Nigerians and vice versa to visit Nigeria and England?
Now, Nigeria, you need a visa. If you're in Nigeria, you need a visa to come. The good thing is, because of the educational relationships they have with the universities, I'll give you a demographic, 35% of 35% of international students in most of the London universities are from Nigeria, followed by Pakistan. So the demographics, 35% is Nigeria, the next is Pakistan, and then the next is India.
And how about the Chinese population? You have got I remember a big Chinatown in central London.
That's correct, yeah. Chinatown is still there. The good thing about the Chinese, they come here for business reasons, not really for academia. They're very shrewd business people, unlike the Asians, the people from Pakistan and Nigeria.
But it's very multicultural now. When central London, we even see lots of Arabic stores too. I've met lots of Palestinian stores and other countries, people, they are the owners of those stores and doing a flourishing business.
That's correct.
So London is for everybody.
When I moved to London, I dreamt of this thing I read. In fact, how many years later, 30 years later, there's no other capital in the world that can be described as a multicultural melting pot. Nobody
You're not
looks
bigger than us. We have got 192 nationalities. Let me correct you. Canada is the largest multicultural country in the world.
Not numbers. No, what I'm saying is the word melting pot is not a number. It's not measured in numbers. It's just measured in cohesiveness.
Wow.
So the melting pot, it's more like cohesiveness. So in London, you can have one house. I've got a couple of properties that I rent out. Yeah. So in one property with 3 rooms, you have an Irish man, an Indian man, a black man, every national, and everyone's coming.
I think we're there too now.
Yeah.
Every single,
good.
You've got Polish, you've got an Irish, you've got Pakistan, Indian, Nigerian, all in one house. It's like, and everyone's happy because nobody, unlike some other countries, obviously there's racism, but nobody looks at anybody because they look different. They may treat you different, but you'll never stand out like a sore thumb. Let's say, for example, if you're in Manchester, it's totally different than London. Even in Birmingham, it's totally different. And London, it's, like I said, I moved here for a reason. And I think based on my achievements, I don't think I would have achieved what I have done if I hadn't have moved to London.
Thank you, Jacqueline Wabara, doctor, my very dear friend. Stay well, stay smiling, and keep in touch with me, though we usually communicate with each other. It's a great thing to keep good relations with the long-time friends. And God willing, if I come to London next year, or I invited you so many times to visit Toronto, which is really a great city, the largest metropolitan in North America. It will be an honor and pleasure for us to show you, to host you, and to take care of you.
Thank you very much.
Stay blessed and keep in touch. And I would say God bless Canada and God bless England. Long live the Queen.
Bless you, Aspi, and your wonderful anchor. I'd like to say thank you to you both for giving me this opportunity to have a discussion with the wonderful Canadian.
It was a wonderful interview. We talked so many things about yourself, about you, which I also never knew in the past, being friends for last 8 years. But now I know so much about you from A to Z. What is Jacqueline Wabara is. She's a woman of substance.
Definitely.
Thank you. I feel honored and privileged to have met you.
Same over here. Thank you. Goodbye and God bless.
Bye.
Bye-bye.